And it's Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia. We cover cadets, midshipmen, the military and veterans, and Iona University basketball. And Gales have won 5 straight. They are going to play Manhattan at home on Friday night. And to give us his analysis, we're always glad to hear from ESPN broadcaster, Iona graduate, AAU coach, college coach, and that is Kevin Hamilton. Kevin, how are you today?
How are you, Ken? Good to see you again.
I'm pretty good. Yeah, hey, we got to start. We were just talking about it Thursday morning, actually. The Iona women's basketball team under Billy Chambers played Siena, and they won 91-64 up there. It had been a 2-point game, but here the Gales dominated, and Iona women are 19-5, 14-1. They are in first place in the MAC basketball league as well as the men. It's quite a good season for both teams.
Billy's a very good coach and a wonderful person also. And early in her career at Iona, they went to the tournament a couple of times. She did a great job. It gets tough recruiting, but she seemed to have brought in the types of players that can get them back to the top of the mountain. And like I said before, her and her staff do a very, very good job. They deserve, you know, the respect to be at the top in a good conference like that. And hopefully fans will go support them as well.
Yeah, no, it's always good to see Billy Chambers and the Iona women are having a great season. Now on the men's side, they are picking it up, having a good February, and they won both ends of the challenging Western New York trip to Canisius, who they beat on Friday night, and then they finished the job on Sunday, defeating Niagara. And neither game was really close. Iona was full throttle. Walter Clayton had a great trip.
Well, no doubt, and Walter has really shown what he's made of. And frankly, he's really carried Iona the last couple of victories. His shooting percentage is extremely good. Obviously, he's lights out from the foul line, but just his tough play and willingness to do whatever it takes to help the Gales prevail. I'm very, very happy to see how he's playing, and kudos to him.
They won 80-59 at Canisius in that game. Osborne Shima had 16 points. Coach Patino gave him the place of honor at dinner after that game. And then Nelly Jr. Joseph, 15 and 19 by Walter Clayton. That was sort of a breakout game for Osborne Shima.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a breakout game. I would say it's what's expected of him at this time. And when he comes through like that, it just really helps, again, the Gales be very difficult to play. Now, this place of honor, I want to hear more about that at some point. I'm not sure, how honorable it would be to sit next to the head coach unless you played well.
Well, I saw it on Twitter, that nice photo. They were recognized that he had a big game Friday night, and one of those team bonding moments that you have on the road.
Well, that's good. I'm half kidding. I know Coach Patino is all business when the ball's thrown up, but he's certainly a likable guy, and certainly the players that I've talked to like him off the court quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I think it was a LeBron James seat of honor. So it was good to see him have a big game and be recognized by his teammates. And then Sunday, Walter Clayton had his best career game, 30 points, and he just dominated. You could tell he made his first shot, and then it was no stopping all game through. And Niagara, really never got close to the Gales all day.
Well, like I said in a previous broadcast like this, these are games they should win like this. So although we're all happy and everybody's giddy about their 5-game winning streak, they're supposed to win these games. And, now it gets to crunch time right before tournament time. And if they can continue to play the way they're playing and guys like Walter can continue to just be lights out, tough, and very effective, then good things are ahead for the Gales.
Okay, well, on Friday night, a visit by their traditional rival, Manhattan, who they won a close game with at Manhattan, but it really went down to the last shot. And so we'll see if Iona can keep up the level of play that they've been on. And that'll be 7 o'clock against Manhattan. Manhattan is 7-7 in the MAC and 9-14 on the season. How do you see interim coach Rashawn Stores doing? Most people think he's done a pretty good job there, considering he was brought in a week or so before the season started.
Yeah, he's done a very good job, and again, losing at least two of his best players, for him to be able to, be around the 500 mark in the league and be competitive outside the league is really good. So the first time the two teams played, a lot of high energy, as you know. Coach Masiello was going home for the first time, and a lot of anticipation of the game. And I'm sure that Coach Stores had his team jacked up to play, and they played very well. Took Iona to overtime. Iona outscored them, I think it's 16-8 in overtime, something like that, and dominated the overtime and got out of there with a much needed victory at that point. So this game I see going a little bit differently, to be honest with you. I see Iona really, having a better chance to get the victory without having to go to overtime. One, the home court advantage. Already the place is sold out for Friday night, and
Yeah.
then and then two, Walter Clayton I think is going to be a huge factor against Manhattan if he continues to play the way he's playing. Against Manhattan before, the Gales had I believe four guys in double figures, but they didn't shoot the ball great. So now that they're starting to get their shooting percentage back a little bit, those points are points that can really propel them to a little bit bigger victory against Manhattan.
Yeah, and then they will travel over to Jersey City to St. Peter's, and gonna be another game. You might say Iona should win that game, but they're gonna have to show up and play on a Sunday afternoon and do their best. But this is now the stretch drive to in the season. They are going into the weekend tied with Ryder at 11-3, with Siena half a game back at 11-4. And you certainly want to be in the first two in the conference playoff format, because the first two teams get a bye. And I think Iona would like nothing better than winning the regular season tournament. So what do you see on their trip to St. Peter's on Sunday?
I don't think it'd be very much of a contest. St. Peter's will struggle with Iona in the paint inside. Nelly should have a big game. Osborne will play a big role. And then if Iona's guards are clicking on all cylinders, I think they'll have their way with St. Peter's. Now, that's not to discount that St. Peter's always plays them tough early, but with Iona's size and physicalness, it seems to wear them down. Remember, I did the broadcast against St. Peter's the first time, and it was something very noticeable. You could see them wearing down against the Gales. I expect the same thing to happen.
Okay, and we've seen a number of recognition ceremonies for MAC Commissioner Rich Enzer, who's going to retire this spring after 35 years running the conference and doing so much for college basketball. He serves on a number of the women's college basketball committees. He's responsible for bringing so many tournaments to upstate New York, to Albany. They've had NCAA women's tournaments, men's tournaments. And in Buffalo, they've had NCAA hockey and basketball tournaments, which means so much to those communities, having that many people come in, and so much for all the different schools. What's your thought on Rich Enzer, his tenure as commissioner of the MAC?
Well, clearly he has a track record of success. Has done very well in all sports that I can tell. Has an affinity for basketball, as you can tell. He really loves to see the MAC do well. I think last year might have been the highlight of his career to see St. Peter's do what they did. Um, so after that, I think he said to himself, what more can I do? Um, and he's leaving it, in good hands, solid conference, new teams in the conference, and most importantly, solid, really good coaching in the conference, both on the men's and women's side. So I think he feels like he's done all that he can do, and kudos to him to be able to ride out into the sunset after having a successful long-term career as the MAC commissioner.
Absolutely. And obviously, that was his alma mater, St. Peter's, which went into the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament last year. And he's done so much on bringing tournaments to Ireland, Northern Ireland, and also to London this past year. So much went into that, providing an international aspect, and also the work with ESPN, bring the MAC down to Disney World for many of the competitions and championships, and it's a lot of innovation that he's done over the years. So we wish him well. He's been a good friend of ours. I actually remember when he started because I knew the prior commissioner, Don DeJulia. So I go back to the late 1980s when he started with the MAC, and he's done a great job. Hey, one other big story that came out this week, Rick Pitino alluded to it in his post-game comments on Sunday at Niagara, was a change in college basketball. And he said, it's not an amateur sport anymore. It's more like minor league basketball. And then on Wednesday, Iona announced an initiative, a partnership with a company called Open Dose. And they are a name, image, and likeness management firm. And we've seen a lot of this more in the football side. Although covering the academies players aren't allowed to earn money from a name, image, and likeness account. But they're going to allow the players to create pages on their portal, their website, and be able to promote themselves and review offers and proof of fulfillment. So it means that they have to do something, like do a photo shoot, do an interview, do something to earn the compensation. And then the deals would be disclosed to Iona Athletics, and there would be education provided on what's involved, how to do it, what's appropriate, what's not, and financial literacy, which is an important part. What do you do if you do make some money off of this? It's such a big change. We've seen it on the big time football front, where schools like Alabama created departments or hired a firm like this to help their players, their student athletes. It's on the women's side too. There have been a number of women athletes who've done very well. But boy, is it a big change, and you wonder if it creates a distraction. I can't. I was thinking, what do you do if you got a team of meeting, and the name, image, and likeness company says, "Oh, we need you out for a photo shoot." What's your read on this, Kevin? It's not. We're not going back to the way it was, but is this the way? How is this going to work in your mind?
So although it's a new concept because the traditional mode of operation from the NCAA is that a student athlete couldn't make money at all. It's a tremendous change. For many years, there has been discussion about at very least allowing student athletes to leverage what they own, which is their name, image, and likeness, and their ability to market themselves if warranted. So it's something that obviously was long overdue. I don't think the NCAA or many of the colleges, certainly mid-major colleges, um, were prepared, and I'm not sure how prepared going forward they are because this is a very fluid operation. I think there's a lot of test cases out there. You know, many of the mid majors, I don't think they're going to have, the multi-million dollar, contracts for some of their student athletes, to endorse Subway or Coca-Cola or who knows. But if they do, they need to be prepared. Like it sounds like Iona is trying to be prepared to support them across the board with the education of how to, manage that whole process, as well as, ensure they have backup support to be doing the right things. I don't see any conflict when it comes to name, image, and likeness and the student athlete's responsibility to be a student and an athlete at the university. Those things come first, I believe. Um, so I don't see someone saying, oh, "Listen, you got to miss practice to do a photo shoot," because guess what? They'll miss practice to do a photo shoot and then they'll be off the team.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so
Uh,
I don't see that being an issue.
Probably not, but certainly concern. I think what we've seen is, the Power Five or Power Six in basketball schools. I said creating departments to support this and being ahead of the game, and that coupled with the transfer portal, that some players may say, well, let's go from a mid-major to a Power Five team, where there's a I don't know what to say, whether it's a an outline or anticipation that you're going to make a certain amount of money off of name, image, and likeness. And we've heard some big dollars on a few football players that haven't even panned out as far as their productivity. And some schools have tried to, I guess, the team decided they would pool their money, you know, that some earn, but it's so new and it's happening. And what happens is the innovators who figure it out fastest will take advantage and generate some success in that. So we will see. So Kevin, it's going to be just getting down a couple of weeks left in February. MAC tournament's barely 3 weeks away, and then the NCAA's in a month's time. Coming down to crunch time in college basketball. Any final thoughts today?
Relative to the Gales, it's crunch time for them as well. I don't think they can afford to trip up against teams that they should beat, like I've said. I do believe there are some really important games to happen for them, obviously. And if it comes down to the very last contest at Ryder, that would be a lot of fun. But, Ryder still has to play the bulk of the conference as well. Siena's still out there. And then, you always have one or two of those teams that can sneak up and be playing well at the right time. So Iona has to play well against Marist, has to play well against St. Peter's, has to beat Manhattan, and then, let the chips fall where they may, and may the best team win when they face these other, top three teams in the conference.
Yeah, have you Coach heard Coach Patino talk about on these weekend back-to-back games or Friday Sunday games that he says let's imagine this is the semifinals on Friday and the finals of the MAC tournament and getting used to winning them both. And I thought that was a great exercise and perspective for preparing for the tournament environment where it's one loss and you go home. So he's very focused, and we're going to look forward to seeing him on Friday night. And the Gales take on Manhattan. So, Kevin, great to see you as always. Thank you for your expertise, and we'll look forward to talking again very soon.
My pleasure. I'll be doing the game on Friday night, so I'll see you.
Hey, that's great on ESPN,
Yes.
so we'll look for you. ESPN, was that ESPN 3?
Yes.
Okay, well, we will look for you at Iona on a Friday night. That'll be great. Okay, so this is Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia, and look forward to being at Iona Friday and following the balance of their season and a ride to the postseason. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.